Hey guys, Cameron with CBM Reviews here. It's been a minute since I've made a movie review, but it's been a minute since a comic book movie review has come out, and the newest one has been released in theaters. This is the review of Thor Love and Thunder. Thor Love and Thunder was directed by Taika Waititi, and it stars Chris Hemsworth, Natalie Portman, Taika Waititi himself, Christian Bale, and Tessa Thompson. We all know how I feel about Tessa in this channel. I'm going to give you a synopsis of the movie without spoiling anything, the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, and my overall review, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. It means a whole lot to me. If you're a fan of this sort of thing, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to know as soon as I post a movie review, which I'll be posting one later on this month, click that notification bell. You'll know as soon as a movie goes up. So this is the rare fourth film in the MCU franchise, only following the Avengers, which had their fourth movie, which, I mean, yeah, it could be considered. Avengers had three, but this is definitely the fourth. Taika Waititi returns from his directing Thor Ragnarok to come and direct Thor Love and Thunder. And the same kind of feeling, the same kind of vibe has returned in this movie. But the question is, did Taika capture lightning in a bottle again? Kind of. It is not as good as Ragnarok, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. Let me give you a synopsis. This is on the trail after the events of Avengers Endgame. Thor is with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's trying to find himself. He's trying to figure out what is his purpose in life. Yes, he's this, Nordic warrior from Asgard, but, is that really all that he is? Is that all that he wants to be? And through a series of events, he finds himself coming back to Earth and runs into another Thor, this time played by Natalie Portman. Jane Foster has returned to the MCU. And this is what happens after they get together and what they have to do against a new villain, Gorr, the God Butcher, who has made it his life's mission to kill all gods. And so it's up to the Thors, as well as help from Korg and Valkyrie, to find out where Gorr is, stop him at all costs. And that's about all that I can give without giving away any spoilers. There are some things that, if you know about the mighty Thor in comics, there's a big plot point, but if you don't know the comics, it would be a huge spoiler, and I will not give that out in this review. So let me talk about the things that I did like, and I'm going to talk about the best thing about this movie. Taika is known for letting his cast, kind of riff and improvise lines as long as they follow the basic structure. And this is the case with the movie, but that's not the thing that I find best. The thing that I thought was amazing was Christian Bale's performance. There is absolutely no limit to the range Christian has. Whether he's playing a magician or a machinist, a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, bat person, or somebody who's trying to kill all gods, the range that he shows in this movie is absolutely great. He's not my favorite Thor villain, but that doesn't mean he's not outstanding in this movie. Is he the best thing about this movie? Maybe not, but I'm going to put him as my number one. Like, his acting in this is outstanding in this. Thor looks as good as he ever was. He does get a costume makeover. It looks very good. And then we have the introduction of the mighty Thor, Jane Foster's Thor. I can only give a little bit of talking about this character without giving out a spoiler. I will say that it was really nice seeing them give Jane Foster something really good to do. A lot of times she's been, somewhat of a plot device, just something to keep things moving along. A love interest for Thor. She is a lot more than that here, and I definitely appreciated it. Also, we've got Tessa Thompson, and I'm just going to be honest. I love that they gave her a lot to do in this movie. She is the king of Asgard. Love it. Give me more. Give Valkyrie her own Disney Plus series. I'm there for it. The fight scenes look really good to a point, and I'm gonna say the fight scenes look half good. Now that doesn't mean that they're bad. That doesn't mean that there's any aspect that's bad, but I will talk about something that is a little bit tiresome in the things that I dislike. Also, this has a theme of empowerment. Without saying anything specifically, there are a lot of moments where characters are empowered, and it was definitely a feel-good thing to see that. The music is spectacular. There's a lot of classic rock things that are going on, and with the look of Thor, it matches incredibly well. I did like that. But as I said before, this movie is, not as good as Ragnarok. Sometimes the improvisational things don't work for me. Like, they don't. And a lot of times when they don't work, it's kind of like when Chris is at the lead. So I think I remember saying something along the lines of this back when MIB International came out, which also starred Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. And they both got to improvise a lot. And I felt like some of them were hit, some of them were missed. This feels the same way with Chris in this movie. Sometimes it felt good. Sometimes it didn't hit quite well for me. And so that was just, kind of like a thing that I dealt with. I will say that the fights between Gore and other characters are great. However, whenever characters are fighting against CGI masses, it gets a little old. It gets a little boring. Like, I'm not going to say that there isn't a feel of terror or dread or threat of physical harm to the comic book characters in this movie, but every single time that they show up, I don't feel a sense of tension. I don't feel like, oh, is this possibly the moment where they fail? I don't feel that way. Not at all with the CGI monster. So that was a miss for me. But the biggest issue that I had was Act 2. And I can only say, without going too far, that Act 2 has an issue with commitment. And that's not the kind of commitment that you may be thinking of, but there are things that appear to have happened in Act 2 that really don't. Some of which are immediately made obvious, some of which you find out later. That is, a thing that I don't like a bait and switch. I don't like whenever the audience is shown something and they're like, you thought so, but not quite. And it's one of those things to where it could have been a very heavy moment or situation and it turned into a comedic one. Not everything has to be turned into a comedic moment. You can keep on those heavy moments, which this movie has plenty of heavy moments, but there's a lot more comedic moments that could have been heavy on the, that you get what I'm saying, right? You get me. So, that's kind of like all that I really want to say without giving anything away. This movie, like I said, is not as good as Ragnarok, but I'd say it's slightly better than the original Thor here. So giving the grade, it's a solid 74. There is plenty of action. There is some comedy to be had, but not everything is good in abundance. You have a little bit more jokiness than I care to see. The Guardians of the Galaxy are here, but they are given almost nothing to do, and that's a little bit of a shame. But you've got an amazing soundtrack, outstanding acting from Christian Bale, Tessa Thompson, and Natalie Portman. And Chris Hemsworth is looking as great as ever. Not my favorite Thor outing here, but still definitely adequate. I would say that you could take your kids, but there's a little bit of language. But I grew up in the 80s. Every movie had a little bit of language in it. So if you're looking to take your kids to a fun, nice summer outing, I definitely enjoyed this a lot more than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So this is not exactly as good a Thor as the third one, but it's definitely a worthy successor. So that's my review of Thor Love and Thunder. Let me know what you guys thought about this review in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. As always, this is Cameron with CPM Reviews. We'll see you next time.